one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bless you.
Would you please read the video statement, Liz?
This meeting of the Galt City Council is being videotaped in its entirety and will be cablecast without interruption on Metro Cable 14, the Government Affairs channel, on the Comcast and SureWest cable systems. Tonight's meeting can be seen on Channel 14 and will also be webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv this Friday and Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Tonight's meeting can also be seen via live video streaming on the city's website at www.ci.galt.ca.us. A DVD copy is also available for checkout from any library branch. Members of the audience wishing to address council should fill out a speaker identification form and give it to the clerk. Please speak into the microphone when addressing council and state your name for the record.
And do we have any speaker sheets? Do we have to go on the agenda?
Under public comment.
Okay. Do we have any agenda approval, additions, and/or deletions, council? No. Okay. And we have some presentations. So we're going to start off with the Character Coalition. And Sue, are you out there?
Good evening, and thank you again for allowing us to use your venue to make these presentations. And I'd like to invite Barbara Payne, who's the Vice President of the Character Coalition, and Mary Lou Powers down, because you are the nominator of these awards tonight. So would you ladies please come down? We have 6 awards to give tonight. And but we're going to do them in groups. If I can get the right ones out here, we will go to it. Excuse me. I didn't get this disorganized. There's somebody else here that did this. It wasn't my fault. Would Mary Martinez and Mike Vontour come up, please? And I don't think Mike is here tonight because Mike was very shy, but this award is for the 2 of them. And the nominator was Mary Lou Powers. And I'll read this. This is Mary Martinez. I'll read this. Get closer to the mic. During the spring and summer, and this is for caring and compassion, by the way, and this was the character trait for November and December. So caring and compassion. During the spring and summer months, as Mary Martinez and her husband Mike Vontour attend to their fruit and vegetable gardens, yielding more than they can consume, they are always mindful of those less fortunate who do not have access to nutritious food. Harvesting the fruits of their labor, they wash and bag their vegetables and fruits and deliver them to the South County services, ready for clients to take home and serve to their families. You should see the look on their faces when fresh produce is available for them to take home. It is a great gift for them and ensures that their families receive much-needed nutrition. South County Services is forever grateful to Mary and Mike for the hours spent in their garden, nurturing the bounty that they share with others in our community. They are 2 people who truly give of themselves in helping others in need. Their actions are genuine examples of caring and compassion. And again, nominated by Mary Lou Powers, who's the Executive Director of South County Services, as well as our Mayor. Mary, by the way, is the Publicity Director for the Character Coalition, so it really gives me a lot of pleasure to be able to present this tonight, because she works really hard. And this is for Mike. Okay, all right. Picture here, so. Get the red eye turned on. Okay, now we have, and Barbara's going to read this one. There are 3 ladies here in town who have been working with, doing some work with feral cats. And I'll have Barbara read the nomination. But is Suzanne Stebbins here? And, yes, Suzanne, I didn't think so. Tracy Watt, come up please, and also Galen Gomez, if you gals are here. Yeah, there they are, good. Okay, I'll have you read Tracy. They're all the same. Okay. These narrations are all the same for the 3 ladies, so we'll read one of them and
Okay. Galen Gomez, Suzanne Stebbins, and Tracy Watt have founded an organization called Feline Health and Wellness. They come into the areas where there is shelter and food source in place, i.e. dumpsters, garbage, or caretaker, and stabilize healthy populations by aggressively spaying and neutering cats and removing sick animals. There will be cats in those areas regardless, so they believe in controlled, healthy populations. They also are a wealth of knowledge and will teach people why it is important to trap, neuter, and release these animals. Educating people on how they can help with the overpopulation of cats, they also explain how this affects citizens and their cats, and how this can even benefit non-cat owners. Working evening and weekends, these caring and compassionate women are an asset to the city and a friend to their tiny charges.
I'm so nervous, but I wanted to take this opportunity to actually tell you a little bit about what it is we do and why we do it. Good evening, Mayor Powers, Coalition, Council, and audience members. We would like to take this opportunity to thank you for recognizing our efforts. While we are thankful for the recognition, we are even more thankful to be provided a platform to share what we do and why we do it. Contrary to popular belief, we aren't these crazy cat ladies running around with cat sweaters and in our stockings that have holes with nothing better to do. We are very busy, typical working people with spouses and families who believe strongly in what we do. Every year, the Humane Society of the United States estimates that approximately 2.7 million adoptable dogs and cats are euthanized or killed in shelters across the United States due to overpopulation and lack of home for these animals. That's about 1 every 11 seconds. In a society such as ours, we should consider this unacceptable, and we do. One large part of the solution to correcting this horrific figure is for pet owners to have their animals spayed or neutered. Even as pet owners find homes for their litters, this reduces the number of homes available to shelter animals. Furthermore, unaltered pets directly affect feral cat communities, and this is where our focus lies. Our goal is to help stabilize the number of healthy feral cats in Galt and surrounding areas through aggressive TNR, also known as trap, neuter, and release, and through responsible colony management, ultimately improving the lives for these outdoor cats, as well as improving the lives of the citizens who live around them. Feral cats exist in specific areas because there is a food source, as well as shelters. Often these cats are the result of reproducing pets, stray animals, and dumped litters. These cats are trapped for the purpose of alternating and vaccinating, altering, otherwise known as spaying, neutering, and then released back into their outdoor homes, where they have developed bonds within their groups known as colonies. Taking trapped feral cats to shelters is not an option, as they are not considered adoptable by shelters and are euthanized. And they are not part of that 2.7 million that I mentioned earlier. Furthermore, unless truly in immediate danger, removing feral cats from an area is inadvisable, as it simply opens up more space for additional cats to move into a specific area. These cats, again, unaltered and unvaccinated, creating a never-ending cycle. Employing the solution of altered, vaccinated, managed colonies helps us improve the lives of pet cats that are allowed to roam outdoors. Spread of disease and injuries are significantly reduced with the absence of breeding, fighting, and the presence of altered, vaccinated animals. And I'll wrap it up, but hopefully at this point you're wondering what you can do to help, because yes, every person can. First of all, spay your own cat or dog. This includes females and males. There's a misconception that you don't need to fix the boys. Yes, you do. Strive for 0 litters. Become educated on the health benefits of spaying or neutering your pet. If you know someone whose pet is not spayed or neutered, encourage them to get it done. If they need help making appointments or transporting, help and offer to do that. Support organizations that offer low-cost spay and neuter programs to pet owners, such as the Sacramento SPCA, the Coalition for Community Cats, and the Sacramento Area Animal Coalition. They have Spay Day coming up on February 23rd. Cats $15, dogs $20. If you're looking to add a pet to your family, visit the shelter or a breed-specific rescue group. Adopt and don't shop. Doing so opens up a spot for another animal in need of a temporary holding place and discourages backyard breeders. Take the time to be educated and learn the truth about feral cats. Alley Cat Allies and SacFerals.com are good resources for this purpose, as are the other organizations I've mentioned. Become involved in TNR. Low cost or no cost are available in our area. If we all take care of the space around us, we can make a difference. We really encourage everyone to be part of the solution. And we really do mean everyone. We give a big shout out to Galt PD, who when we're out there at night regularly stops us and asks us for ID and why we're loitering and lingering. Thank you. But anyway, thank you for your time and have a wonderful evening.
Looks like I'll get one or two. I think I can. Usually does. I don't know.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thanks,
Mary
Wolf.
Lou.
I just wanted to say one little thing. That we know that there are lots of volunteers out there in the community. There are lots of people that give their time and passion for whatever their cause is. And I think it's important that we recognize them. So I'm encouraging everyone else, if you see someone out there that's doing a great job, please let Sue know. And I also want to let my council members know that if you see anybody, please say something. Okay. Galt Herald Person of the Year. Mr. Herberger, I think that's you.
Well, thank you for letting me come out and play tonight. My name is David Herberger. I'm the general manager and publisher of the Galt Herald. And this year we recognized some organizations, some individuals in our town that have superpowers, that they use them for good, these superpowers to make our community a better place. Always striving to make Galt and the surrounding areas a nice place for our families to grow up and for us to make a better town. And I guess, let me start it off by saying thank you, Mayor, City Council members, for letting me come up here and play. Let's start, first of all, Chief Bowen, if you can help me out tonight. For our Organization of the Year, Bonnie and I and Brian, we knocked around some different ideas on some of these mad skills that these organizations and individuals that might be people that need to be recognized for what they do in town. And the organization that came to mind this year's organization was CAPS. And so Chief Bowen's here to accept on behalf of CAPS. And I know we see CAPS around everywhere. They've got the trailer that gives us the speed. They're just everywhere. And as we all know, CAPS is the volunteer organization, the volunteer arm of the Galt Police Department. Here's just a few of the things that CAPS does for our community. They handle the traffic at events, work the records unit at the Galt PD. They transport paperwork, evidence, vehicles, scan for stolen goods online, work crime scenes, report and sometimes remove graffiti, move the speed trailer around town, outreach to the classrooms, the community and organizations, all service to the community, all volunteer. And this is what I thought was really fascinating and shows their commitment. Since 1994, it's estimated that they've put in 79,000 hours of community service. So on behalf of the Galt Herald, we want to say thank you to CAPS for their commitment to our community. And we've got a nice little plaque here. So Chief Bowen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Are you ready? Okay. Come on. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Next person with super skills, super mad powers that use those super mad skills for good is our Volunteer of the Year. And Barbara's going to recognize this a little bit. I had the opportunity, the honor, the pleasure to introduce Barbara at one of our Rotary meetings a couple months ago, and I jumped up at the opportunity to introduce Barbara. And I got up there and started naming off all the things that Barbara does, and this phrase popped out of my mouth, and it was surpassed by few, matched by none with respect to commitment to the community. And we were doing Volunteer of the Year. Who volunteers in this community that it's everywhere, always doing good things. And when they participate in the community, the things that they do seem to work. They have success. I mean, it's one thing for us to feed, it's one thing for us to get together and clean, something like that, but it always seems to be successful. People wind up happy, people wind up feeling self-fulfilled for the service that they do. And that volunteer this year is someone who doesn't seem to get recognized enough, and that's Lisa Klopp. Could you please come on up? Here's just a partial list of some of the things in the organization she works for. Galt Shop Local Committee, and I believe that was that Barbara's doing originally, right, Barbara? Galt Sunrise Rotary Club. Reopen the Galt Elementary School libraries, and we know that had profound impact on our community. Fundraisers for all these efforts and more. Working behind the scenes, the Galt Winter Bird Festival, PTA, Council on the Accreditation and School Improvement, Youth Mentor for the Galt Youth Committee, taxi service for the girls' basketball, even tonight. Even tonight, you get things done, Lisa. And so on behalf of the Galt Herald, we want to show our appreciation to you for your efforts in that regard by giving you this plaque.
We're both volunteering for a fashion show.
Yeah. You can do whatever you want.
Could I have a moment to just say something?
No. You're the only Volunteer of the Year, I believe.
I thank you for letting me speak for just a moment. And thank you, Dave and the Galt Herald and the staff and management of Galt Herald. When I opened my paper that Wednesday morning with my coffee in my hand and saw my face in the paper, I thought you were coming to get me. I was afraid of what I did.
But I really was quite honored by this, and there's so many people that went into all of the activities that made this award possible for me. And so I'm very honored, but I'm also very appreciative that over the year that, and the couple of years that we've been working together, that I have gotten to know hundreds and hundreds of people I would never have known otherwise, of all ages, from the youngest at schools to the senior center, from the city, Park and Rec, service organizations, businesses, just a huge number of people here in Galt, and each one of them is as passionate about Galt's history and is passionate about Galt's future. And so I am honored to call you my friends and neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay, and now we're having the Park and Recreation Commission Annual Report.
I'm going to ad-lib a little bit. I only have one of my two commissioners here, so I didn't plan on speaking tonight, so please bear with me as I just kind of talk off the top of my head.
Okay.
The commission in 2013 had some input into the Kevin Tom Memorial site. We had two of the commissioners, they were on the board to discuss where and what to do. Some of the recommendations to council that they moved forward were facility and program policies, country in the park, Walker Park artificial turf procedures, I'm sorry. They also looked into adult soccer for our citizens. Unfortunately, it didn't go forward, but they did look into it, trying to get something going. They evaluated numerous programs, procedures, and they attended the 2013 CPRS conference. Our 2013 chair was Brendan Moore. He's the half that's missing right now, but I do have our 2014 chair, Don Buchanan, in the audience, and I'd like to bring him up, introduce you, and maybe he'll say a few words, if you don't mind, Don.
Hello, my name is Don Buchanan. I've been a volunteer coach in Parks and Rec for about 10 years. And to be honest, it wasn't until I got on the commission that I realized how much work it really is. I'd call Armando complaining about little things here, little things there. And but with being on the commission, you learn that it's beyond just coaching the kids, which the organization has. So it's been a learning experience for the past 3 years, and I'm happy to be on it and look forward to helping out more. Thank you.
And we thank you for volunteering. We appreciate it. Okay, so now we're at CERT. Robert?
Cert.
CERT.
There's no Search was the best one.
Sorry.
Yeah, but
I thought it was more than one of you, so I thought it was CERT. I just messed up. I know. Give it a minute, Chris.
okay, I was gonna say, what's that?
I hit the wrong.
You should try to tell you something.
You can give us a little information.
You told me to keep it short.
Telling jokes.
Gosh, I'm not the only one tonight, Liz.
Nope. It'll be a minute. I'm sorry. Totally my fault.
I was wondering why she was pulling that up. I thought it was supposed to happen.
I'm gonna have to cool down just a sec. So.
Yeah, we entertained.
We could do the consent calendar.
We were entertained. It was good.
Robert,
okay,
we haven't talked to you in a while.
You know, I can go ahead and get started.
It's
Start
considered
without the PowerPoint, and as it warms up, we'll or cools down, whatever needs to be, we'll
I
get
know.
started, if you don't mind.
Great.
So, Honorable Mayor, distinguished council members, my name is Robert Brower. I'm from the CERT organization. I'm the coordinator, one of the coordinators for the program. Along with our representative from Galt PD, Sergeant Walton, we've helped coordinate this program to bring volunteers to the community.
We have some of our team members here today, which we'll be introducing some of as we go through the process. As I stated, our first slide will show you our staff in CERT. We have the coordinators, myself, Robert Brower, and Brian Schell, who works at Station 71 in Elk Grove. We have a representative from Galt Police Department, Sergeant Walton. Our lead instructors are Sergeant Walton for the Galt section, and then we have Julie Ryder and Gil Miller, who is in the audience tonight, for the Elk Grove section. We also have an administrative assistant who works in the training division. Her name is Marcela Sarez, who lives here in Galt. On the CERT side, we have a CERT liaison. His name is Rich Tupin, who was not able to make it tonight. He handles a lot of the CERT affairs on the CERT side. He's like the incident commander for our CERT program. We have website design, Robert DeGoff, who's in our audience there on the far right. He has put together a new website for us and has done a wonderful job. He is updating it on a daily basis for us, keeping our calendar up to date, making sure that anybody that wants to get on Elk Grove Galt CERT to look at it, that they'll have an up-to-date site. We have a volunteer coordinator who is out of town tonight. His name is George Carrington, does a wonderful job. George is a retired police officer from San Francisco City who lives here in Galt. He coordinates everything for our CERT program when it comes to volunteers. He sends out the emails. If there's an event that we have to go to, we'll talk about events here shortly, he makes sure they're staffed and that we have the proper numbers and individuals coming. He spends tireless hours chasing down volunteers to make sure that these events are staffed. We have the vehicle and equipment maintenance, Tim Martin, who is in the audience also, who oversees our vehicles and equipment and makes sure they're ready to go in the case that we need them. Fundraising, Gary Sack, who's also in our audience tonight. He has been working really hard at raising some funds as our grant funding is running out, which we'll discuss in a little bit. Public outreach, to make sure that we get the word out there, that CERT's out there, that we have this free organization for people to volunteer into and learn more about. We have Gary Sack once again for the Elk Grove division, and we have Linda Walsh, who you might know as Craig's wife, who takes care of the Galt section for us, communicates this with the community and the churches in the area to make sure they know what CERT is. And with that, we have the events that are coming up for the year of 2014.
Just a reminder, if you're unfamiliar, is CERT is the Community Emergency Response Team. They do a lot of disaster training. We try to get people involved in being prepared for all the bad things that may happen someday or will happen someday. Some of the upcoming events that we have in Galt, and I have to apologize, the slide says 2013. That's what happens when you're prepared and you do these things ahead of time. These are the 2014 events, not 2013. We have the Easter egg hunt, which has become quite a tradition in Galt. Strawberry Festival in May, and the 4th of July celebration, which has become a pretty much all-day event where we provide first aid, we provide educational material, that sort of thing, at all of the events, but the 4th of July has become a huge celebration. On the Elk Grove side, we have the Western Festival coming up the 4th of July, much as with Galt, Giant Pumpkin Festival, and the Dickens Fair. The reason that we bring up both is this is a shared resource that is funded through the Consumnes Fire Department. All the funding comes through Consumnes Fire, and it gets passed through to the CERT program to make sure that it continues to run. It is one program. It is Elk Grove and Galt is one CERT team because Consumnes Fire covers both cities and a lot of the territory in between. So when we talk about the Elk Grove Galt, we're not targeting one or the other. It happens to be that we're in Galt tonight, so obviously Galt is what you're here to hear or what we're here to talk to you about.
With that, I want to talk about the CERT training that's coming up in 2014. You might remember from past presentations that we had level 1, 2, and 3, 1 being the basic class and 3 being the advanced class. To match up with FEMA's guidelines, we have switched it around. Our region, which is Sac City, Sac Metro, Folsom, West Sacramento, and then Elk Grove Galt CERT, have all got together and decided to change this program around. So level 3 now is our basic CERT class. We'll be offering that starting, as you can see, in March, and then another one in September. And then we also have one in Elk Grove. We offer March 11th and September 2nd starting. There's 7 classes, and they're basic classes to learn on how to use fire extinguishers, how to better prepare your family for the event that we have an emergency here, so you can better be prepared to take care of yourself. We also offer a level 2 class. It is hosted at the Elk Grove Training Center by Dale Miller, who is in the audience, who is representative of the Red Cross. The class is Red Cross and Mass Care Sheltering. He has been to several events in the United States on his own, volunteering to manage Red Cross shelters. So he brings a lot to the table to teach folks what a mass care and sheltering event is. We offer 2 of those. They follow the level 3 class, April 29th and December 21st, October 21st, and they're both to follow the Elk Grove and Galt classes. Our level 1 first responder class, I'll tell you, if you go take a first responder class on your own, it's a pretty costly program. We offer it for free up to this point. We put it on September 8th through October 11th. Last year was the first time we put it on as a joint regional class. Every organization was putting it on their own. Last year we decided to host it. All 5 organizations got together. We held it at the Sacramento City Water Tower Training Center, and it went over really well. We had instructors from Sac City, Folsom, and Sergeant Walton and myself went there and instructed this class to share costs. So with that class is coming up September 8th through October 11th. We also offer this year, for the first time, advanced trainings that happen on the first Saturday of every month. We include classes on heavy lifting and cribbing, driver and trailer hauling, PG&E safety, which they talk about power lines down and other ways to be safe around those scenes, sandbagging, and advanced medical techniques. We'll also offer other types of classes that are interesting to the group. Our group comes to us, tells us what interests them, and then we try to host a class in accordance to that. Our regional training, as I was discussing earlier, West Sacramento, Sac City, Sac Metro, Folsom Fire. We get together and do a regional training every year. The Brickyard at McClellan Air Force Base, we hosted, SAC-CERT hosted a program for specialized rescue techniques. In this class, folks learned how to crib, how to move heavy objects out of the way. We had a 2,000-pound concrete block that the CERT folks were able to lift onto pipes and roll out of the way and rescue victims. We also were asked to come to Monterey by the Central Coast CERT organization and participate at Fort Ord in a regional drill. We sent approximately 6 from our organization and I believe a total of 20 members from this region to that event. They have some barracks that they've abandoned, which still has furniture. They're 3 stories high and about the length of a football field. We were able to go in there, set them up as a disaster happened, and search for victims inside the building. I will talk about our equipment really quick. We have 3 trailers. We have 2 disaster trailers. They're prepared as you see here in event there's an emergency or even our events that we go to, such as the Easter egg hunt, 4th of July events. And we bring these trailers out, and they're stocked with water, emergency equipment, and we have one located at the Galt PD, and we have one located at Station 71 in Elk Grove on Elk Grove Boulevard. We also have a training trailer, which is stationed here at Galt PD, and it has equipment to train the classes that we host here in Galt. Next, we have an ambulance that's been turned into an emergency response CERT vehicle. It is stocked with medical equipment right now, and will be upstaffed with emergency equipment, shelters, and other items, shovels and rakes, that type of thing.
In light of the fact that we're early on in the year, we've actually participated in several events since the first of the year. One that is most notable is what I came to talk to you about last 2 weeks ago. We had the record cold temperatures in December, the 4th through the 9th. And in Elk Grove, we managed to field teams from the Elk Grove Galt CERT team, which on the 4th were, every night that we were there, we had a minimum of 2 of the Elk Grove Galt CERT members, along with several of the nights CAPS members showed up to help out in anything that we may need. So on December 4th, we had Tim Martin, George Carrington, my wife Linda Walton, and Tony Bach. As you can see, the Elk Grove Galt teams kind of separated themselves. All of the Galt people showed up in Galt, and all the Elk Grove people in Elk Grove. Tracy Williams, Joe Gould, Tracy Williams and Joe showed up. The second time last night was Robin Bitt and George Carrington. The Elk Grove side, which was a little bit busier, we had Paul Copsey, Gary Sachs, John Coleman. Haven't got a clue how to say it. You're not helping, Mike. Thank you. Tim Martin, Ron Mulhan.
Mulhan.
Okay. Sorry. Alexander's, and we staffed the rest of it with CSP, and last night with Paul Copsey and Dale Miller.
Wow.
I've got to say, that event went over really well. We had some very dedicated individuals that came here and gave their time overnight to make sure the community was safer. And we did have several people come there that might have otherwise not made it through the night and had a warm place to go for the night. So hats off to all those folks that showed up. Another person I'd like to recognize for the warming centers is Sergeant Walton, who came down to the Galt centers every night to make sure that those folks had their snacks to eat, that they had warm beverages to drink. So I just want to thank Craig for the time he spent off duty going there to make sure those events were staffed. Now, last but not least, our CERT budget. Just want to tell you how we're funded. We're grant funded through FEMA, and that fund has run out. Our monies will have been extended out to March 31st, and that will be the end of our money from the grant funding. So now we're asking for the continuation of the program through community support and donations. So we just wanted to make you aware that we are going to be out in the community striving to raise some funds to keep this program alive. We have dedicated individuals, but it does take money to make the program survive. And with that, my name is Robert Brower. Like I said, the co-coordinator Brian Schell or Craig Walton can be reached. Phone number is 916-405-7100, or you can check us out at the Elk Grove Galt Search site, which is updated daily, which is a really nice site to go look at if you have any questions. And with that, I'll field any questions you may have of our program.
Well, I have no questions, but I'm very impressed. And I think the word tonight is volunteer. We have so many people in the community doing so much for the community as volunteers and doing a lot of their time. And you guys have got a lot of classes going, a lot of things going, and I appreciate you every time I see you out there at any of our events.
Almost say something.
Well, thank you.
Can I say something? I know these guys and all these people in the back, as I did start this program back in, I don't know if it was 08 or 7, somewhere around there, I can't remember now. The information that you learn in these classes is invaluable. Now, Robert, I'm not sure, do you guys will still go to businesses also, is that correct, or no?
We'll go to churches, businesses,
anywhere
they asked us to come out.
To give this training. And these people that trained me are what encouraged me to continue on with my medical training and go to CRC to get my ENT certification. So it is invaluable, and these guys do a great job. These folks in the back here, they put out a lot of effort to keep everybody safe at all of these events that we do, that they do attend. So again, you guys, thank you so much for everything you do for us, and you guys stay safe.
Craig, how much money what's the goal
Right.
that we need to?
We're shooting for $25,000 a year to fund this program.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did you get that?
Nice presentation, very nice. Okay, public comment. Would you please read that for us?
Under Government Code Section 54954.3, members of the public may address the council on non-agenda items. Speakers may address council on any agenda item during consideration of the item. Speakers shall restrict their comments to issues that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council and limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Please fill out a speaker sheet located on the table inside the entrances to the council chambers and forward the completed speaker sheet to the city clerk. Reuben Epstein.
Good evening. My name is Reuben Epstein. I've lived in Galt for about 36 years, which may be older than a lot of the people who are here. In any event, I assume that most of you, if not all of you, saw last week's Galt Herald about the dog attacks. And made me think of some things that have gone on where I live. I live in the south part of Galt. A while back, we had a couple of pit bulls. At least that's what they looked like to me, wandering around in the mornings. I don't know where they came from. I don't know where they went. I don't know where they went in between their comings to my house. But we also have dogs in the neighborhood that bark all day, that bark all night. Occasionally we have dog droppings on the property, but I haven't seen the dogs, so I don't know where they're coming from, but I'm pretty sure it's dogs. And saying about the attack and vicious dogs, it reminded me that a while back the city of Galt decided not to allow chickens in the neighborhood because they were noisy and they smelled. And if we can outlaw chickens in Galt, why can't we do something more about dogs? Why are dogs necessary and chickens aren't? I don't know of any pets of dogs anybody eats around here, but at least chickens give you some eggs. So if we're going to outlaw chickens, maybe we could look into outlawing dogs so we don't have people getting bitten and having to show up on the front page of the paper because they got attacked. And I'm afraid of kids getting hurt, just like it said in the paper. Animal control covers Galt, but that's from the county, and in the past, whenever I've had any contact with them, they said it could be 2 or 3 days or more before they get down here. Most dogs will have moved on by that. So I'm hoping that the big article in the paper will get some thinking going as to what can we do to make Galt safer. If we can be safe from attacked chickens, maybe we can be safe from attacked dogs somehow. Thanks.
Thanks.
Oh, I was just going to say, maybe the chief could reply. I know our Galt Police Department also responds, so that it's not just the animal control out of Sacramento that may come 2 or 3 days later.
We actually have what's called a catch pole in 2 of the vehicles to be able to take dogs off the street. We do respond as far as vicious dogs, barking dogs. Depending on the barking dog and whether we can find the owner that is turned over to animal control, we do have the capabilities of fact as far as citing them, and we do go out on calls such as the one that's listed on the paper.
Well, thank you. But I do understand, Ruben, where you're coming from, and I think everyone I've talked to in Galt has had a deep concern about it. I think there needs to be a lot of education for the dog owners to be responsible. But I do believe that our police department is available. I didn't know if you knew that or not. That's all I have to say.
I know that we've all had some concerns about this. The problem is we don't have the wherewithal to have our own animal control officer out here. We're a small town with not a bunch of funding, but I know we've all been concerned about it and do what we can whenever we see anything going on. And I know the police are very active because I've called them on more than one occasion in our neighborhood. Mark?
Chief, just out of curiosity, I know in the article he's referring to, the 2 dogs initially had cornered two students over near Greer Middle. Is that correct? I believe. Was that not right in the article, Ruben? I don't remember the details, but the 2 kids were cornered over near there, and I'm just curious, did the school call that into the PD at all?
I don't know how the call came in, but we didn't respond. In fact, I even checked on it this morning, asked the lieutenant regarding what the results were. We still don't know where the dogs came from or who they belong to, because of the information that I received.
All right, thank you.
But where the initial call came in, whether it came from the school or a concerned citizen, I don't know.
I know the answer to that because I read the article, so I'll just tell you what the answer was. There were 3 children, and one ran to the school, but she had a long ways to run, so the school did call, but unfortunately it took a long time for the call to be made because the kids were way far away.
Right.
But the call was made from the woman that was trying to rescue the kids, but it just took a while because of the proximity of the dogs and the proximity of the school. Uh-huh. Funny.
Gotta get you on tape.
Yeah, really.
Just because I interviewed them, the school did call, but they called animal control. They did not call Galt PD, which is probably why it didn't get responded to as quick. And when the women came upon the second incident, they called PD again and were actually just had gotten on the phone with dispatch when police were rerouted and got to the second incident.
Right.
So I think police did respond
Mm-hmm.
well. And had the school called directly PD, they probably would have gotten there faster.
Thank you.
Okay. No more public comment, Liz? That's it. Okay, would you please read the consent calendar for council?
Okay, we have 4 items tonight. Number 1, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of January 7th, 2014. Number 2, approval of the City of Galt warrants. Number 3, landscape maintenance agreement with California Department of Transportation for the Central Galt Interchange landscape improvements. And number 4, amendment to grazing lease for Hochschild property.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Then moved and seconded. Call for the vote, please, Liz.
Vice Mayor Singleton.
Aye.
Councilmember Payne.
Aye.
Councilmember Campion.
Aye.
Councilmember Cruz.
Aye.
Mayor Powers.
Aye. Okay, now we're on to the strategic plan, and that's my report, but I'm going to work with the rest of the council on this. Every 6 months, we have a meeting with all the managers and a city council to look over our past and see what we can do for the future. And this particular meeting, we went back three years, and we're planning a new 3-year venture. But just in the last 6 months, and you can read everything on, is it up on the website already? Okay, it's up on the website. In the last 6 months, there were 43 really major things that all the departments did, and so I think it really would be great if you guys went up online and saw how much that your city is doing for you on a 6-month basis. We have 5 different categories, and the first one is enhance and maintain infrastructure and facilities, and Barbara is going to read those for us, please.
Okay. Present, the first one, number 1, present to the city manager a 5-year plan for deferred facility maintenance, including budget recommendations, and our public works director will be in charge of that. Item number 2, develop and present to the city manager budget recommendations for Phase 1B improvements to Walker Park, and Public Works again will have the lead on that, as well as the special projects administrator, which is Armando, and our chief of police. Item number 3, access and make budget recommendations to the city manager regarding the need for new technology, and each department head is going to give the input on that. And number 4, develop and present to the city council for action a plan to improve Harvey Park and the livability of the surrounding area, including park facilities, code enforcement, crime prevention, and the cost. And there's a whole host of people involved there. As a matter of fact, I'll be taking the lead on that. The police chief will be working, public works director, again, the special projects administrator, community development director, with input from the Parks and Rec Commission and Galt Youth Baseball.
Great. Thank you, Barbara. Councilmember Campion, enhance economic development.
The first item is to hire a new community development director, and I believe that's right on target. Second one, present to City Council for action, retention of a qualified consultant to update the traffic capital improvement plan with the goal of long-term reduction of non-residential traffic impact fees. Next is conduct an East Side annexation specific plan project scoping meeting with the applicant and the community. Next, present to the City Council for action the award of a construction contract for the Summerhorn Waterline Extension. Present to the City Manager options for acceptance of credit card payments for city services in all departments. Next, present to City Council for action and award a contract for a consultant to prepare a comprehensive update to the zoning code. Lastly, contingent upon authority from the state to spend bond proceeds, complete the CEQA review of the entertainment complex, and make a recommendation to the City Council for action.
Thank you very much. Okay, Vice Mayor Singleton, improve financial stability.
Yes, number 1 is identify and recommend to the City Council for action new or revised service fees, if any, to be charged by the city. And that would be our finance director with input from the management team. Number 2 is evaluate the feasibility of acceptance of EBT cards at the Galt Market and make a recommendation to the City Council for action. That would be our Special Projects Administrator, which would be Mr. Solis. Number 3, present to the City Council for action recommendations for collection services, extension, and transfer station agreement with Cal Waste. That'll be our City Manager working with Public Works Director and Council Subcommittee. Number 4 will be obtain a long-term use agreement with CDCR, which is California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, for the regional law enforcement training facility, and that'll be our Chief of Police in charge of that. Number 5, develop a new comprehensive citywide reserve policy to address items such as equipment replacement, establishment of a internal service fund, usage triggers, and reserve categories. That'll be our Finance Director, Inez, here. And number 6 will be present to the City Council for consideration new options for generating revenue, and that'll be our Finance Director again and our City Manager. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. And Councilmember Cruz, attract, develop, and retain quality employees.
Okay, using SurveyMonkey, we're going to distribute a survey to all the employees with questions like, why do you like your job? What keeps you here? What do you need to grow in your position? We're going to analyze the results and make a report of findings to the City Manager and City Council. That'll be handled by the HR Administrator. Using the results from SurveyMonkey, we'll be collecting input regarding attracting, retaining, and developing employees and making recommendations to the City Manager for direction. That'll be handled by the HR Administrator working with an employee committee. And last, develop and present to the City Council a written plan for attracting, developing, and retaining employees. That being done by the HR Administrator, the City Manager, and the management team.
Thank you. And last but not least, I'm going to read enhance cultural and youth activities. Identify the need and desire and define the parameters of the Community Cultural Advisory Committee and recommend to the City Council for action. Contingent upon City Council approval of the Community Cultural Advisory Committee, post an ad requesting members of the public interested in participating in the committee. And this is basically the Chief and I doing these 3. Identify and present to the City Council for direction at least 3 cultural activities to enhance or begin in the city. And last, contingent upon granting of a 501c3 status from the State Secretary of State, recommend to the City Council for direction funding options for the Police Activities League. That's it for the next 6 months. Okay, and now, that was on purpose. That was on purpose. Okay. The Finance Department, Inez, you're going to tell us about AB 1600 financial report.
Thank you. Actually, the Deputy Finance Director, Mike Silvio, will be presenting that report this evening.
Madam Mayor, Council, quick report on this AB 1600. This is an annual financial reporting document that provides information on the city's development impact fees. The information provided includes a description of each fee that's collected, the amount of the fees, whether or not it's a residential development or commercial. There's some variance obviously in the fees there. The annual beginning and ending balance of the account or fund for each fee. The amount of fees that are collected and interest earned on an annual basis. The identification of the improvements, primarily CIP projects, which the fees were expended upon during the prior year, the reporting year. The amount of the expenditures for each improvement is also included. In addition to that detailed annual reporting, there's a 5-year reporting component that provides kind of an aging of the available balance of each type of the fees. And the cash flow method that's used in that analysis is first in, first out. So, in many of the attachments, there won't be funds available in the 5th year. It'll be more the nearer term years. Previously, this reporting was achieved as a part of the city's budgeting process, but with the creation of this report, this report is now a standalone document that's meant to provide greater clarity of the fees, how they're collected, and how they're used. And lastly, I just want to close real quick that this report was really a collaborative effort, and I want to thank the Public Works Department, Community Development, City Clerk, City Attorney, and the City Manager's departments for review and input in this report. And after questions are addressed, staff recommends council receive the report.
Questions, council?
There are no findings required as part of this report.
No, there's not. It's just required to be presented to the council, and then if it's acceptable to the council, just move to receive the report.
Okay, council, anyone else? Do I have a motion to receive the report?
So moved.
Okay. Call for the vote, please, Liz.
Vice Mayor Singleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Payne?
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell?
Aye.
Councilmember Cruz? Mayor Powers?
Aye, and thank you again. Now, the Galt Police Officers Association and the City of Galt Side Letter Agreement. And this is to you, Chief.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Before you tonight is a resolution to approve a change into the memorandum of understanding with the Galt Police Officers Association related to standby pay for detectives and staff's recommendation for approval. Currently, the police department is in operational need as far as to have people available as far as through the detective division to respond on their off hours during the weekends after they go home. One of the questions I would be asked if I was sitting in your place is what kind of examples are that? If we have to construct a search warrant regarding somebody in the field is found, we have lost children, crimes against children, sexual assault, homicides, robberies that go beyond as far as the officer, the sergeant on the street, we need to have a detective respond. We currently, through our MOU, have a arrangement as far as what's called standby pay. Standby pay is if I put you on standby to be able to respond, I end up paying you 3 hours of straight time whether you respond or not. If you respond, then it goes into whatever overtime there is as far as that. It's not really cost effective as far as the police department to have someone sitting around being paid. So we sat down as far as with command staff and discussed several different options. And one of the best options was, that we thought, was to in fact allow the officers within the detective division to take their cars home so they could respond. Now, an issue with that as far as them taking it back is a lot of times, or taking those cars home, is that a lot of times we end up receiving calls where the victim in fact has been transported to the hospital. So we respond here, get a car, and then go up there. If in fact you're looking at a crime in a crime scene and you have foul weather such as rain or what have you, you end up with critical times as far as that evidence being destroyed because of rain or whatever. So in doing so, as far as discussing this, the availability as far as detectives taking their cars home, it's nothing new. I've been in this business obviously for a long time, and I've never worked for a department that didn't have a standby as far as officers to respond. Another benefit for us is the fact that a lot of times, depending on the crime, with the amount of people we have in the street, we need more assistance at that time with the detectives. Could respond and give us additional personnel on that to beef up until we can in fact call uniform officers in. So we're suggesting or recommending that in fact council look at this as far as the alternative as far as the standby, which would cost the city roughly $137,000 a year in standby pay to have 2 detectives standing by, and roughly about 56 cents a mile. Average mile is about 47 miles that they would be traveling. And if you take the cost of roughly $4 for gasoline, that's about 40 cents a mile. And we figured it out at 56, figuring tires and wear and tear on the car. So I'm available for any questions regarding this issue.
Well, you said it was, I'm sorry, you said it was 100,000. How much is it if they take their cars? What's the dollar amount for that?
If in fact they take the car home, figured at 56 cents a mile, The annual cost would be roughly $48,034 for fuel.
Thank you.
I'm curious, our detectives, where do they live? How far away do they live, I guess?
You have one in Citrus Heights, two in Galt itself, one in Sacramento County, and the other one in, I think it's Ione. It is.
So, in the past, they would have to drive back to Galt and get their patrol car and
Yes.
then go to the site,
Yes.
and now they can go directly.
They can go directly to the hospital, to the crime scene or whatever. There's also equipment that's held in those vehicles that they need, cameras, tape recorders, sometimes tactical gear that is kept also. We currently have a policy, which is Policy 706, which outlines the entire procedure regarding vehicle use, and I think the thing is actually 3 pages long. It covers as far as the vehicle being garaged, how it's supposed to be done, being armed when you're driving the vehicle, not for your personal private use. It's just to get to work and to crime scenes, in fact, you're called.
It seems like a much better idea.
Yeah, much.
It seems like it's easier on the officer or the detective as far as wear and tear on him having to drive a distance back here, then change cars, and then get to the scene, as well as being more effective, as you mentioned. to
It
collect
is,
evidence.
and it's considerably more cost-effective than putting everybody on a standby. Speaking of other departments I work for, they have all been put on standby, and it was quite costly. Obviously, with the figure I gave you of $137,000 versus roughly 48 is considerable difference.
So I don't know who came forward with this idea, but if it were you, thank you. I think it sounds like a really good idea.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Can I say something? Chief, you mentioned that we don't want to have patrol officers go into a crime scene. It's not that our officers are not well trained, but our detectives are specially trained to handle situations such as, might be a rape or an assault or something. So they're better apt to deal with that at the hospital and come directly from the home, as opposed to, like we said, going to Galt and then going up to the hospital, because we don't know, the patient could be gone, or the person was assaulted could be gone, as far as we know. So they get special training, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
And detectives have to go through some specialized training regarding several different areas of expertise that they go through, which some of the officers wouldn't have. If you had someone that rotated out of detectives, they probably do have it. But one of the things is you lose skills as time goes by.
Right.
So, and also there's modern methods that come up regarding certain issues as far as evidence collection or whatever.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Cruz?
Yeah. Oh. Just a quick question. I noticed in the last page of your report, the savings of the general fund is about $68,952 annually. I'm just curious, it also shows a savings on Measure R of $17,239. Just educate me why it's split across the two. Is it because one of the detectives are part of Measure R?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And it's broken down as far as allegation, as far as that. Now, this figure here, as far as the savings, as far as $68,952, we're not paying it now, so to say that that's a savings, it isn't. It would be a savings if, in fact, I instituted the on-call system, which is, in fact, within the MOU and within our policies and procedures manual. So that right there would be, if in fact that was done, it would be the savings.
Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Campion?
Yes, that does clarify it, because there was a question as to whether it was an actual savings or a projected savings if the standby was instituted and utilized on a full-time basis. In the side letter agreement, well, before you get to that, there are 5 detectives, is that correct?
Correct.
Are all 5 of them, have they given an indication that they would like to participate in this program?
They all have, they've all agreed. We went to the association, discussed it with them. Then this was brought back as far as a side letter to our city attorney, and he prepared the letter. So they're all in agreement. One of the, goes back to Councilmember Payne's question regarding one of the people. He actually is the gang detective, and he actually responds to their location in Sacramento County. So he's not actually coming back here.
The other question is just a curiosity in wording. It says that the division commander would be responsible for collaborating with the detectives to ensure that at least 2 are on or available at all times. Is there a reason schedule isn't used, or I guess I'm not clear on how that would work?
Well, what would happen is if, say, I'm one of the individuals, I'm going on vacation, then the other person would fill in my spot to make sure. So it's Lieutenant Pasuzi's responsibility to make sure that we have somebody that's actually on call during that period of time, and that you know, they're not going to a ball game, participating in some kind of an alcoholic beverage or anything else, that we have people that are in fact available for call and not somewhere else. So that's his responsibility to say, these are the 2 officers or detectives that are going to be on duty or on call for this period of time.
At any given time? So
at any given time, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Liz, do you mind reading, please, the recommendation?
Adopt a resolution approving the changes to the Memorandum of Understanding with the Galt Police Officers Association relating to standby time for detectives, and authorize the city manager to execute the side letter agreements.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Call for the vote, please, Liz.
Vice Mayor Singleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Payne? Aye. Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Cruz?
Aye.
Mayor Powers?
Aye. Okay, Capital Improvement Program Status Update, July 1st, 2013 to December 30th, 2013. Mr. Winkler.
Madam Mayor and Council, we're pleased to present a report for the second quarter as a quick update on ongoing capital improvement program in the city. We've completed fiscal year to date 4 projects. The most recent 2 are the acquisition of 2 buses for the transit fleet, and also completion of the lift station repair and rehabilitation of the E Street lift station. We've got 4 projects that are currently under construction and ongoing, and we have 9 projects that are in the design and environmental clearance phase that will be coming up for advertising for bids later in the year.
Thank you, Mr. Winkler. Any questions, Council? Okay, let's read the...
Move to accept.
Okay, we have to read the action first.
That the City Council received...
Oh, okay. All right.
I've got your name down.
Do we have a second?
That the City Council received the second quarter CIP status report.
Okay.
Move to accept. Second.
Moved and seconded. Call for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Singleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Payne? Aye. Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Cruz?
Aye.
Mayor Powers?
Aye. And now the award of contracts for construction management services related to the wastewater treatment plant upgrade project, CIP number 53Z. Mr. Winkler, that's you again.
Well, and I'm going to have Mr. Mark Clarkson, our utilities manager, come forward and give you a brief overview of this item, which is a large ticket item, as a next large step toward the process of implementing a $20 million upgrade to our wastewater treatment plant. Mark?
Mayor, Council, seems like every time I come before you, I'm begging for money.
But you do it so well.
You know, and I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is, you know, this project is on schedule. Wes Yost is doing the design. The last time I was before you, awarding the design. We're at about the 95% stage right now. We should be out to bid around March 3rd. And we're right on schedule with this meeting. And of course, we all know that we're trying to meet the regulatory requirements for September 2015. So everything's on schedule with that. We're going through a financial plan that we're going to bring to you within the next couple of months. We have this part of the project is the RFP project. The construction management project, and we're bringing them on early, even before we go out to bid, because I need to get them up to speed. Part of their contract is to do a constructability review, so this is an independent review of what Wes Yost has been putting together and what we have been reviewing with them. So it gets the construction management firm also bought into the system that we're going to be constructing out there. They're going to be part of the bid review process, and then they get handed over the reins for the construction management, and it should be somewhere around June. We should be awarding the project, right on schedule for it. The estimate, or the project that we're looking at, around $1.8 million, is right in line with the estimate that we've carried throughout this project for the last 2 years. And so we're right there. The bad news is we've got to pay for this work. You know. So, but otherwise, I'm here to answer any questions. I have two people from Corolla Engineers, their Vice President Scott Parker and Mike Warner back here. So if you have any questions, direct them towards our consultant. No, but I'm here to answer any of the questions that you may have on the project.
Council, questions?
I just had one question, Mark. On the under the funding on your page 3 of the staff report, under the contingency, it says it's split 2 ways. Is that between funds 7 and 14?
Yes.
Is that 50-50, or how did they say? It just says split.
I believe it was 13% to
87.
What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Following the same percentages.
It's going to be a proportion to.
It would be. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we won't know until we have the funding plan of what that proportion is going to be. And, you know, and as we secure a consultant to look at that, and the staff looks at it, and we present
Sure.
it to the council, that's when we get the final numbers of what's really going to happen. But we know there is going to be a percentage that's going to go to Fund 14.
Okay. That's all I have.
That's all? Okay, would you read the resolution, please?
I will.
The recommended action?
Adopt a resolution to, number 1, authorize the city manager to execute an agreement with Corolla Engineers in an amount not to exceed $1,838,733 and a contingency amount of $183,874 for construction management services for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade project. And number 2, appropriate $263,000 from Fund 14 Capital Improvement Wastewater Fund Balance for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade project. And number 3, authorize the city manager to execute amendments to the agreement within the approved contingency amount.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Call for the vote, please, Liz.
Vice Mayor Singleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Payne?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Cruz? Mayor Powers?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, now we're going to adjourn the city council meeting and convene to the Galt Successor Agency. Roll call, please, Liz.
Board Members Singleton?
Here.
Payne? Here. Campion?
Here.
Cruz?
Here.
Powers?
Here. No public comment, Liz?
I have no speakers.
Okay. And could you please read the 2 items on the information consent agenda?
Yes. Approval of the minutes of the meeting of December 3rd, 2013, and approval of the successor agency warrants.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Call for the vote, please.
Board Members Singleton?
Aye.
Payne?
Aye.
Campion?
Aye.
Cruz?
Aye.
Powers?
Aye. Now, for the subject of the transfer of housing assets to the city of Galt in its role as housing successor, and that's Chris.
Good evening. My name is Chris Arias, Senior Planner with the city's Community Development Department. The item we have before you is the transfer of housing assets to the City of Galt Housing Successor. The City of Galt chose to become the housing successor when the Galt Redevelopment Agency was dissolved in 2012. The housing successor is responsible for maintaining the former Galt redevelopment housing assets. Galt housing assets are shown in Exhibit A to the staff report resolution. There are essentially 2 groups of assets. The first group is comprised of housing projects with affordability restrictions to income qualified buyers or renters. Samples of the projects include the Grizzly Hollow and Comfrey Senior Apartments and the Ashbrook residential subdivision, as well as Galt Place. The second group is comprised of affordable housing projects with active loans made from the former redevelopment agency low mod fund. The projects include Galt Place and loans from the Galt Rehabilitation Loan Program. The benefit of retaining these assets is that the city is able to retain the funds when the loans are repaid and presumably used again for affordable projects or programs. The housing assets have already been reviewed and approved by the State Department of Finance. However, state law requires approval from the Oversight Board, which was provided in September of last year, and approval from the successor agency. If the successor agency approves the transfer, staff will complete the assignment agreements for each housing asset to be sent back to the State Department of Finance. So tonight, we're asking that the successor agency approve the resolution directing the transfer of housing assets to the housing successor, and also authorizing the city manager to execute all documents needed to transfer said items. And that concludes our presentation. I'll be here to answer any questions you might have.
Questions, council? Mark?
I just a quick question, Chris. I mean, given our history with the Department of Finance, do you think we're going to have any more issues? It's almost like because we decided to take them to court, they're going to do everything they can to make our lives miserable.
No, we already conferred with Department of Finance staff on these assets and basically argued to keep them, and they agreed. So the second part should just be a formality.
Did you get it in writing?
Only if Jerry approves it.
Any other board members?
Yeah, Chris, on the, maybe I missed it, but was there a total dollar amount on the loans that are outstanding to the?
There are. You have basically $4 million loan to Galt Place, which will come back, and I think that starts getting repaid in like 2020. So it's going to be a while before it comes back to the city. And the total amount for the rehabilitation loan program, we're looking at about $650,000, give or take. And there's a couple loans that are actually active and they pay off monthly, and that goes to finance. But then once in a while, loans are repaid as homes are transferred, and those funds, again, should be able to be used by the city. But I don't think
a lot of them are deferred loans, though, aren't they? Yeah.
Right. So the only time they come back is when the loan is repaid in full, when the house is transferred, or the home is paid off.
Good. And no dispute as to the city being able to receive those funds.
Correct. At this point. I mean, they thought it at one point, but we've been able to successfully convince them that they belong to us.
We hope.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Good report.
Okay, do you want to read the action, please?
Okay, adopt a resolution transferring all housing assets, responsibilities, rights, powers, duties, obligations, and housing assets to the City of Galt in its role as housing successor, and authorize the city manager to execute all documents to transfer said items.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept. Second.
Call for the vote, please, Liz.
Okay. Sorry. Board members Singleton?
Aye.
Payne? Aye. Campion?
Aye.
Cruz?
Aye.
Howard?
Aye. Now we're going to adjourn the Galt successor agency and reconvene to the Galt City Council, and we're at the city clerk's report.
Just a couple reminders. There's a Commission on Aging meeting on January 23rd at 5:15 in the California room over at the Parks and Recreation office. On February 1st is our annual 8th annual Winterbird Festival. Yeah, something like that. At McCaffrey Middle School, everybody's invited. If you haven't signed up for your tours, they're going fast, so check our website and sign up for a tour quickly. On February 3rd, the Galt Youth Committee meeting at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers, and that takes us to our next city council meeting.
Thank you, Liz. Comments by staff?
I have a couple of comments. We were involved in an investigation regarding possible gaming. As of last week on Thursday, the 24 computers that we seized were in fact turned over to the city. And we've been talking with our IT manager, Matt, and he's in fact probably going to trade out a lot of the older monitors we have with this equipment we in fact took. Also, we had a case last year that we were involved in, and we just received 20,000 something, and we'll be bringing back to council. I think it's on the first meeting in February as far as to spend that money for some needed equipment that we have. So those funds were released to us last week also at the end of the week. And so we've actually been able to get some stuff as far as through investigations to be able to buy some needed equipment.
Great. Good news.
Quick comment, couple of issues I know have been coming to council with questions from citizens. I won't try that citizenry word again. Just want to make you aware that we are looking into whether there are any viable options to accelerate work on the Twin Cities roundabouts, and that we're having unprecedented warm weather. We do need about a 1-month forecast, and right now it looks like February is unfortunately projected to be dry as well. So we're looking at temperatures and things to see what we can do within the realms of our specifications. Paving requires not only dry weather but also warm weather, or at least reasonably warm weather. And while we've certainly enjoyed that in the last couple of weeks, question is, will we return to a freezing cycle where we don't get those temperatures till afternoon? That makes it very difficult to be productive with that type of operation. But we are looking into options. Certainly, foremost in our mind are the delays to the traffic that are being incurred until we complete the project, and then secondly, making sure that we're not a hindrance to the Walmart opening on schedule, probably in May of this coming spring. And so we're working to expedite at least the widening improvements that would take care of the movements necessary in front of Walmart and allow those improvements to be completed. The second issue I wish to comment on is we're getting a lot of media attention to the drought declarations and the state of emergency, and obviously the fine weather we're enjoying is actually part of the problem. With the ridge of high pressure is basically keeping moisture out of Central California. So we're watching that very carefully. We are, as you all I'm sure know, on groundwater. It's not immediately affected. What the current drought declarations are primarily targeting is the reservoir levels. None of our water comes from reservoirs. That said, I just wish to encourage all of our consumers and residents of Galt to be very mindful of using water wisely. And the best way to conserve water is not to waste water. Just be mindful of how we're using it. And we'll be bringing forward, if the drought does deepen and continue, some options for council to consider about steps that we may wish to take. A key to moving forward with any type of significant water conservation will be the ongoing water meter installation project. So timing is everything, and this is a good time to be installing meters in a drought.
Well, Mr. Winkler, if you plan on construction on those roundabouts again, you'll make it rain.
We're a little concerned that we might see the proverbial rain dance in that scenario.
That's right.
Steve, have you noticed an uptick in water usage with this dry period? I mean, for this time of year, I know typically it drops way off, but
anecdotally, I'm sure that we're using more water this November, December, January, and probably February than we would have last year, where we were getting some intense rainfall about this time of year. In fact, had some overflowing creek areas in town. So, no doubt, for instance, I don't live within the city limits of Galt, but I turned off my sprinklers for the winter, and I had to turn them back on because all my wife's plants were dying. So I'm sure that's a common feature. What we're asking people to do is, it is cooler, so you don't need to put them on a summer watering cycle. If you are going to water, just please do that wisely.
Can I ask you a question while we're talking about that? If you're going to if you need to water your lawns, and how do you do it? Like how many days and for how long?
Well, that's a very good question. It's a little bit complex of an answer. It depends on the humidity, the temperature, and what type of plant it is. There's no set formula. Different types of grasses require different amounts of water. Typically this time of year, after a good freeze, your Bermudas are dying out and don't need as much water, whereas if you have more of an evergreen type lawn, fescues or bluegrasses, they're going to need more water. But basically the test is that if you can push your finger in or push your heel into your lawn, you probably have plenty of water. If it starts to come back, not spring back, or have a dry feel, then you might want to give it a short watering cycle. I would recommend a manual watering, as needed, rather than turning a timer on to run every other day whether it needs it or not.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay.
What will affect our groundwater, such as wells in the
Yeah.
county or whatever?
Well, city wells, ag wells in the surrounding agricultural areas will all ultimately affect our groundwater. Our groundwater table is in sort of a watch mode for overdraft. The drought is not going to help that. The snow in the mountains and the flows in the rivers are what recharge our aquifer. It is a lag cycle. Sometimes it can be as much as a year or two of drought before we'll start to see it drop. So it really is one of use water wisely now, because the day will come when every drop that's been used is not available as the drought deepens. We're going to be keeping a close eye on that. And again, if it drought does deepen and we don't get a spring back in the rainy season, then we'll probably be preparing recommendations of a more draconian nature probably in the next summer.
That's it. Somebody, staff, Jason, Steve? Okay, council, I'll start with Mr. Campion, Councilmember Campion.
I don't have anything.
Councilmember Cruz?
I was gonna ask you questions, but you already answered them for me about the aquifer, so I have nothing further.
Okay. Councilmember Payne?
Had nothing.
Vice Mayor Singleton?
I'm good, thank you.
And so, meeting is adjourned.